I'm Megan Mitchell. This is my co-host, John Morrison, and you are listening to the True North Racing Podcast.
Time to strap in, pull those belts, and get ready for an action-packed episode of the True North Racing Podcast. Are you ready to unmask? Unhelmet your favorite racers? Get ready for the most fun you'll have outside the racetrack to get you ready for the next race. You're listening to John Morrison and Megan Mitchell, and this is the True North Racing Podcast.
What's up, everyone, and welcome back to a brand new episode of the True North Racing Podcast presented by Driving With Hailey. I'm your host, John Morrison. This week, guys, I am flying solo, but guess what? We have a full action-packed interview for you. It is going to be a lot of fun. We have Coltin Everingham coming on in just a little bit. Of course, we're going to get into our GraphInk Design Studio Guest of the week with Coltin Everingham in just a little bit. And of course, we'll get into this week's Driving With Hailey vehicle spotlight and our tailored to you meeting design fan question period. But right now, it is the Pets Pro Painting opening segment. We got a lot to talk about. We're going to condense it as much as we can because we had such a great conversation with Coltin that it ended up being like an hour and 22 minutes of recording time. This is actually my second attempt at an intro. First one was 17 minutes. I may throw out that a little bit later, but we're going to go through this a little bit quick. It was this past weekend. It was we had a lot of fun. Me and the family, we're all together. We're actually scheduled to go to Toronto on Saturday to go see Little Canada. We got down there, but unfortunately there's a fire next door. We couldn't go. So we just hung around Toronto for the day, man. We walked almost damn near 16 kilometers throughout the day. It was my feet are still killing me. I can tell you that much right now. A lot of cool things happened this weekend at the racetrack. I saw Chase Mitchell picked up career win number 1 in the Pure Sox. He's been knocking on that door all season long. I think I saw something like 10 podium finishes this year for Chase. Finally broke through, finally got it done. Super proud of the kid. He's done a great job all year long to be there when it counts, but just can never get to that next spot. And he finally did. So congratulations, Chase. I saw that Mike Gilmore also went to victory lane at Flamborough Speedway in the mini stock division on Saturday night. And of course, if you guys saw, Donovan Price also went to picked up a heat win at Peterborough Speedway on Saturday night. Now, one of the cool things that we had the pleasure of having drivers from Laird Raceway join us back in, I believe, May or June there. They just wrapped up their season on Saturday night with the Mike Parsons Memorial. It was a nice 2-day affair, and I saw that there was a few Southern Ontario drivers who made the trek up and competed, and got to send out a big congratulations to J.R. Fitzpatrick for picking up the Mike Parsons Memorial, which was a $10,000 to win super late model race. I've been preaching for it for a little bit here. I'm so happy that Petal Power made the trip up, so we're going to be able to watch all of that over on their YouTube channel. I'll put the link for the video because it's already out. I'll post it in the comments section below on YouTube, so make sure you guys find it there, or search up Petal Power on YouTube, and you guys are going to go enjoy a nice race from Laird Raceway. Yeah, I don't want to go too much because I don't want to try and go over our time limit here. But let's get into this and let's find out what vehicle Hailey Hill has for us in our Driving with Hailey vehicle spotlight. This week's Driving with Hailey vehicle spotlight, it is a 2022 Nissan Rouge with only 54,987 kilometers. This compact SUV, midsize SUV, is exactly what you need for you and your family because, hockey season's coming right up, and it's going to be a great vehicle for you and your family to get the little ones off to their hockey practice. There's still some races left in the season, so if you guys want to bring your family out to racing, this will get you guys there. Like I said, with only 54,987 kilometers, this gas engine only is a 1.5 liter inline 3. It gets you 8.4 in the city, 6.7 on the highway. It's all-wheel drive. The exterior is a nice white. It is a 4-door, seats 5. It has adaptive cruise control, park assist, heated steering wheel. You're going to need that come the wintertime. sunroof, blind spot sensors, power drive seat, keyless ignition, and lane departure warning. This vehicle is it has everything you will need to be able to get to and from work, to and from the races, even to and from any extracurricular activities you and your family are a part of. This nice cream, looks like a cream color interior, really nice, clean. If you're dirty like me, this is not going to be a vehicle for you. That is for sure. It is well equipped. Look at that. It's just amazing. If you guys are looking to get into a new ride, make sure you guys give Haley Hill a shout over at 289-808-2828. You guys can also find her on Facebook at Driving With Hailey. Email her at hhill@rideride.ca. Doesn't matter if you got good credit, bad credit, poor credit. Doesn't matter the situation. She can help you get into a new ride today. So go ahead, give her a call, 289-808-2828. In our GraphInk Design Studio Guest segment, we are being joined by the driver, the number 48 from Sunset Speedway. We got Coltin Everingham. How's it going, man?
Not too bad yourself.
Pretty good. Welcome back to the show. It's been a long time. We're excited to have you back, catch up with you, see what you've been up to, because you have been one of the busiest guys I think I have seen all summer long. Not only do you run your super stock on Saturday nights at Sunset Speedway, sorry, you also help out with Ray Morneau in the Pro Late Model program on Friday and some Saturdays when you have the double duties of the United Racing, the APC late models. So why don't you tell us a little bit about how that summer's been going for you?
It's been hectic. I not only spot for Ray Morneau as well, but I spot for Carson Nagy. So it's really taken a lot of my Fridays away. But I really feel as though it's like kind of helped me as a driver, being able to kind of see more to the racing and the just the overall experience of being on the track. You're getting to see it from a different angle than being in the seat, and it's been hectic, on top of my own program, and we've had probably the worst year I've ever had in my life of racing, and it's been like a full-time job on top of my full-time job. So
It never stops, does it?
no, no, no.
But but how rewarding is it when those weekends work out for you, when you guys get to go into victory lane on a Friday or Saturday night where there's a driver as a spotter?
Well, it's honestly, it's
Well,
it's been a driver or a spotter aspect for the last 2 years. It's been a long time since we won one, but no, it's really rewarding. Carson and Ray are really, really good race car drivers. They're very, very respectable, and like they don't wreck people. They're hard and accurate racers. So it's really cool to be able to be a part of two family run teams, and the respect that they both have for their competitors and their sponsors and everybody else is just amazing. And I just love being a part of it.
and obviously that's a good thing is when you work with teams. It's nice when the bigger teams want to work with you, but it's also really nice when you get to work with those um let's say bare bone crews,
Mhm.
family oriented, family gold, and Carson Nagy and Ray Morneau are probably two of the best at that. That they don't have what they do have is a lot of skill, and they have a lot of knowledge, which even for you being up at the spotter stand, you've been out here, you've won on the track in many races, big races, and even won a championship. To go up into the spotter stand, even to help out, what has been that?
Just meant to drop it a little bit.
Oh my God, what has that been like? Even stepping out a little bit of the driver's seat to go up into that spotter stand.
It's honestly really cool. Carson and I were talking last year, and he's like, "Hey, like you should come and spot for me." And I'm like, "I don't know, man. Like I've never really been into the spotter aspect of it. It's probably one of the most unthanked jobs in part of the racing community with everybody, including myself. Like I'm very blessed to have, Steve Duncan has been my one of my spotters for probably about 8 or 9 years now, and I probably don't appreciate it enough. And there's a bad situation that happens or whatever, it's instantly 9 times out of 10 gets blamed on the spotter. But No, it's been really cool. I didn't want to do it again this year because it did take a lot out of my own racing program, and I really wanted to focus on getting back to where we used to be in the super stock division because it's one of my favorite divisions. But somehow Carson roped me into doing it again this year, and then unfortunately Ray's normal spotter, his wife, was had some medical issues, and he needed somebody to step up. Well, his spotter Chris couldn't be there for the remainder of the year, so I have the utmost respect for the Morneau family. They're amazing people. Ray and his dad and Dana and his mother are all in the shop 24/7 working on the cars and stuff. So I was really cool. It was a really cool experience to be able to join their team. For the circumstances, I wish it was different, but it's like I said, I have so much respect for them two teams, and even though it's a 3.5 hour drive most times to drive to Delaware on Friday, and 3.5 hours home or 2.5 hours, it all depends on traffic, and have to race the next day. It's been fun. It's been fun. So
And let's get into that a little bit because the past couple years, I have seen you run a late model. I've seen you run a mini stock. And last year you went back to a super stock. And this year, I think, if I remember correctly, this is the super stock you won the championship with, correct?
yeah, yeah.
So let's cover the basis here about what made you get into a pro late model, even the pro late model in the mini stock. How did those deals come about for you, and why did you choose to run those?
So I own my own mini stock. Well, Alan Lankin and I actually we were having a couple beers one night, and we decided to buy a car, and like a street car, and turn it into. Originally, we were just going to turn it into a bone stock to have some fun with it, and it ended up we just thought it'd be a bright idea to spend a bunch of money on a car and turn it into a mini stock. So I got the mini stock still that I don't think I've raced it in 3 years. I've been racing other people's stuff. Just I've been putting like Wade Thorne and Cam Thompson's driven it, and Carson Nagy has as well. But yeah, no, the late model deal was fun. I had a lot of fun doing it. It's it was tough. It was tough doing it with my dad and I. Like we're just a small team. I got my mom that comes and supports and tries to help when she can. But that's why we got out of it. It wasn't the money aspect, to run a competitive super stock, and I feel as though running a competitive late model is about the same price. But the difference is you race for half the payout and half the purse money for a super stock as you do for a late model. When, like I said, like tires and fuel and everything are damn near the same. So
Yeah.
I decided to go. I was gonna take last year off, and Jeff Drimme actually messaged me and told me to come get a super stock and race it and get it better. So then Dawson Drimme could jump up into the big cars, but I think they're just having so much fun and success in the legend cars there that he wanted to kind of keep sticking with that. So we ran all last year with Jeff's car, and then it was fun with, my dad and I don't 100% see eye to eye all the time, and we don't hang out all the time like my mom and I do. But last year was a lot of fun. It was literally just dad and I making the car better every week, and we took something that wouldn't have been able to compete to be winning heat races and running in the top five, and just having a really good year on, it was just a fun year. There was no pressure, like it was just getting back in the seat and having some fun in the super stock division because like it is the best racing in probably the whole province. And it was good bringing my late model back out. I ran out on colors there for the 167 lapper. That
Yep.
was the biggest race I've ever ran. We're actually really good. I learned a lot last year working with Taylor Holdaway and on Corey Luciano's race car. I was full-time employed by Holdaway Motorsports, so I was able to get a lot more racing knowledge, and that's like massive in a late model. It's like if you're a tenth off by the end of the race, you're a second and a half off. So it was cool. I really had a good time running at Peterborough. Like I was passing for third with I think 10 to go, and there was just race deal happened and I was spinning around backwards through the grass and I ended up finishing sixth, I believe, by the end of it. But it was, like I said, I logged all the laps. I was competitive and it was a blast.
And you know what? That's the good part is when you get to because if I remember correctly, obviously at first it's a big learning curve to go from super stock to a late model, and you definitely adjusted quite well. And like you said, you were running third at near by the end of the autumn colors, but just obviously a racing deal, but still finishing sixth. I think there's what like if I remember correctly, there's like 18 cars or something like that that came out.
Yeah, I believe there's 18 to 20 cars for sure.
It's just finish sixth, like in probably one of the longest races you've ever run, is still
Mhm.
a big deal.
Yeah, no, I come off. I was frustrated because I honestly I couldn't believe how well we were doing. That's what I like about Peterborough. It's not so much of who's got the most money, it's who can get around the racetrack. And I come off and, my dad was smiling ear to ear, my mom was smiling ear to ear, and like we're, a big family oriented team. And it was probably like one of the coolest experience. I would like to go do it again. There might be a future ride with Taylor Holdaway and Holdaway Motorsports for that deal, if the cards are in my favor. But it was honestly probably something that we really needed as a team because the last few years have just been a drought. So yeah, it was probably one of the coolest things in a long time.
Oh, absolutely. And then of course, last year, I know at the end of the season, I think even before, if I remember correctly, before you guys even were able to run autumn colors because of the rain, you guys ended up selling that car, the super stock, to Cody Wilds. Like
Correct.
they
Correct.
sold the car to Cody Wilds. And then you ended up getting back into the super stock that you won your 2018 championship with. How did that come about for you to be able to even get back to the car that you were so dominant in?
So I raffled it off back in 2020, and I went through a few different hands, and Jeremy Dobb ended up getting it. And when he ran the first year with it, and then the second year he said if he's ever going to sell it, that I would get the first dibs at it because I missed racing it. It was fun. It wasn't so stressful to race super stock and be competitive in it as it is to be trying to be competitive in the late model. You got a lot more um, different things going on in a late model with like bump springs and bump stops, and none of that stuff's in a super stock. So he said to me, he says, "You got my word that if you're ever interested in buying it and I want to sell it, I'll give you the first crack." So when I ran that super stock last year when we were at Peterborough, we were kind of talking, and he said that he's thinking about selling it and he'll let me know. And we worked out a deal and I bought it back. And yeah, the rest has been kind of history.
And there obviously that, like I said, that's a car that a lot of people will remember you driving. And even this year, it's still got the same body style as it did back then. What has it been like being back into that car again? And first of all, I also got to add here, how hard is it to find a car that you can fit in? Because you're a big guy, like you're a tall guy. Because even
Yeah,
I pointed out to Jacqueline when we ran into at Delaware, I go, that's Colin Everingham. He drives a super stock. She's like, we walked by afterwards, like when we ran into each other in the food line there. And I go, that's Colin. Like he runs a super stock. He's like, what the hell does he get in? He's freaking tall. Like
yeah,
she thinks I'm tall and I'm only like 5'10". You stand head and shoulders above a lot of people. So I mean,
yeah. It's the toughest part is I'm upper body. Like I am very tall, but I'm upper
yeah,
body tall. So I mean, I can shimmy my way down a little bit lower than I could if I was leg tall, kind of
yeah,
thing.
yeah.
But it's been tough. If somebody offers me a ride, I don't ever hesitate to say sure. I don't even think about the fitting in it after until I'm there and wedging myself in it, like with Wade Thorne's dirt car and stuff. It's they're 6 foot, if that. I'm 6'9", and they're like maybe 160 pounds, and I'm 300 pounds, and I wedge myself in the car every time just to go out and have a good time.
Actually, even getting a chance to even go out and run that dirt car for Wade, what was that even like for you? How did that come about?
We're just he actually drove my my mini stock, my neon, a few times. He ran it at Autumn Colors. It was like a last minute deal. He went and picked it up at on Friday morning, missed all the practices and stuff, and then the next year he ran it a couple more times, and we're kind of joking. He's like, I got this car here that when it's not racing out of Schwegen, because it was supposed to race a full time out of Schwegen, he's like, you can jump in it. And then I finally convinced him last year to bring it up to Humberstone for me. And honestly, like I had zero expectations. I did an enduro uh, during COVID there on dirt at Merrittville, and I mean it's nowhere even close to being the same as racing in proper race conditions. They soaked the track for about 45 minutes beforehand, so it was like a mud pit. But we didn't have much expectations. I got lucky. I made the feature in through the heat race. There was like 46 of us, I believe there was, and during the heat, there was a truck in the heat race, a four-cylinder truck, and they, for some reason, they let them race the heat race. But as soon as the heat race was over, they like said over the receiver that he was DQ'd. So I was able to miss the B main because of that, and I started I think 16th, and it was a lot of fun. I just like I remember years ago when I first started racing, my dad always said if you want to pass the guy in front of you, you can't just follow them. You got to figure out a little bit of going somewhere else or find some speed or and I was sitting in sixth and I was probably about 10 car lengths away from the top. Or no, I was in fifth, sitting behind Ashton Dickey and I think it was Jason Tolton. And they were like, I don't know, 10 car lengths in front of me, and I was following their line, and I just, started going in the roughest part of the racetrack, and I finally caught up to them, and they had an incident, and we were running second with two to go with a green white checker, and I had zero idea what to do. I went to go double up on the outside and getting yelled at by the race director, a single file, and I didn't know that, when you wait until the guy in front of you goes, and as soon as he like twitches on the throttle, you're allowed to drive underneath him and pass him. I didn't know. I didn't even expect we'd be in the top 10, but that was probably one of the coolest, most unex un ex, unexpected race that I've ever done in my life. We come in before the feature weight. It's like, you're not going to get in the top five, and I said, yeah, whatever. Like I don't care. I'm just really happy for the opportunity, and like I said, we were second, and I had no idea what to do. I didn't know where tech was. I didn't know where anything was, and the guys are like looking at me, thinking that Wade was in the car for the longest time because you know the car was very good.
Yeah.
And like I did surprise a lot of people. So it was really, really cool. And this year we are actually back at Humberstone with Wade's car as well. And we won the heat race by a mile. Like the thing was insane. And we had a really good car for the feature, and I really think we had a good chance of winning the car or winning the race, sorry. And we had the transmission was slipping too bad, and it was like hitting the rev limiter coming off the corner and just killing
Oh,
all the
jeez.
drive. And we ended up finishing fourth, but we're gonna go back, I believe, September 8th.
Okay.
I think that is the final race there that they're having, and then they're closing the doors. Like I said, I've had really good success there, so I think that's why it's my favorite dirt track. But we're gonna go back hungrier than we've been at the beginning of the year and last year as well.
That's awesome, man. I'm excited for you to go back there. I was really, I don't know, maybe I'll have to talk to Jacqueline and see what I can make if we can make it work out or something like that. Go out. May have to move a couple things, but I would love to get back to Humberstone before unfortunately we see it close its doors. And I really hope someone does, carry on, but if it doesn't, I really hope we everyone gives it one last hurrah. Like it's we don't like I don't let's be real. No one likes seeing racetracks close.
No.
E- because it's a vicious cycle.
Hmm.
People move near a racetrack or things start happening, and think people are just like, we don't like racing, we want to shut down. What would you rather people start racing on your streets again?
Yeah.
Like they don't understand that this is a place where we can go play and we're only bothering you for like 6 hours.
100%.
No one's out of control unless you're being pissed off and you just want to get out of there. But still, would if you got a truck or trailer, I don't think I've ever seen anyone get real mad with a truck or trailer
Yeah.
leaving the racetrack. Like no one's out there playing racing going home. No one's
Yeah.
extra speeding. I hate when seeing tracks close, and when we're losing. We've lost so many of them in Ontario. Um, man, I don't want to see another one go.
Yeah, no, I agree. I know a lot of the track owners, like I'm pretty close with the Todishes that own Sunset
Yeah,
and hey, every year they go out and offer, the neighbors that are backed right up against the pits there, pit passes for the year to try to, eliminate any issues that they may have and, kind of give them the schedule and stuff and say, hey, these are when our big dates are, this is when we're going to have off kind of thing to just try to keep everybody cool and happy. But I do know there's the odd person that just hates every minute of people having fun, it seems like, and complains about everything in life, I guess.
every track has one. I've started to notice that, you
Oh,
know,
100%.
and it sucks because like if you actually got to know these people,
Hmm.
you would realize how down to earth the people who are driving these cars in their teams and how humble and because let's be real, a lot of you guys are really down to earth people, humble. You guys understand hard work pays off. Like
Hmm.
I wish a lot more people would be able to sit there and actually come in with an open mind and listen.
Yeah, no, 100%.
I don't know. I get it's hard to talk about sometimes because we all know like people who are into racing understand it.
Yeah.
It's trying to get the people who don't understand it to understand it, but they don't want to. Which again, whole other story for another time. But
Yeah.
let's get back onto a positive note. I want to get through all these questions. We're going to get into our tailored to you medium design fan question period. As you saw earlier today, we announced that you were coming on, and we got a bunch of fan questions for you to answer. And I think there might be some hurt feelings at judging by some of these questions. So let, let's get into them. Uh, we're gonna start off with Dana Morneau. She's got about three of them. The first one is what's a track you really want to race at, and what's a car you'd really like to give it a try in?
An Outlaw Super would probably be something that I would be interested in trying. I don't know if it would be smart financially to do it. I know the motors are pretty expensive but I just think that they're insane and they got so much horsepower and they look like they're the nicest cars that are out there. Um, Track that I'd like to race at is the Nashville Fairgrounds. That's something that's been on my bucket list since I started racing on iRacing. I went there in 2018 to help Taylor when he was down there racing, and it's just an old beat up racetrack. It's got a lot of speed. There's a lot of place or like a lot of people there. Sorry, a lot of cars that race there, and it's in Nashville. And who doesn't like Nashville?
Yeah, everyone loves Nashville.
Yeah.
Would you ever stop racing just to spot full time?
It's funny, her dad and I were talking about that yesterday or Friday night after a couple beers, and I don't know. I don't say this to for people to, for the Mornos or the Nagys to hype me up or anything, but I don't feel as though I'm good enough to do that. They really think otherwise, but I don't know. It's a lot of pressure being up in the spotter stand because one wrong screw up and or one hesitation or something, and cars can get junked, and then you're like I said, you're the culprit. Everybody
Yeah.
blames the spotter right away, and I'm a very opinionated person, so I don't know if if something like that happens, I don't know how well I would be able to take it.
Yeah. Well, because let's be real, before we get further on, a spotter is essentially keeping an eye. What's the word I'm looking for here? Is essentially keeping an eye on a $100,000 investment or a $50,000 investment. And you're right, one wrong screw up, that's 15, or it could be like 10, $5,000 to 20, it could even be way more than that. You're the eyes who are just like, yeah, you're clear. And then someone comes up and then they rack, and but you're right. It's such I don't know. You're almost like a babysitter for the car.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. Like
I don't
last
know
year,
another way to look at it.
Carson was running, he's leading the championship standings, and his brother bought a super stock and he was racing. And Delaware is a very tough place to spot. It's hard to
Yep.
see coming out of four. It's not so bad going into one and coming out of two and going into three, but coming out of four is like you got to be on. And I cleared Carson, and he started. It's I don't know if he hesitated a little bit, or I cleared him and he wasn't there, or I shouldn't have cleared him, and Hudson was on the top like his brother, and thank God it was his brother, because Carson come up the racetrack and almost got stuffed in the fence by
Oh,
it, and I just felt horrible.
yeah.
I think there was like three races left. He was leading the points championship, and I was like freaking out because like I almost destroyed two race cars that, you know, top tier race cars. So it was tough.
The last question from Dana here is, what's your favorite and least favorite racing memory?
My favorite, I mean, I got a couple of them. The first feature one was probably the most amazing, surreal feeling in the world. We worked very, 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 very hard for, the 6 years I raced before I won the championship. And, my mom and my dad have been like huge, huge supporters of my racing, my whole racing career and to the date. And seeing the smiles on their face, and my mom's a little bit of a wimp, so she starts crying over that stuff. And she's I get out of the car and she's tearing up, and it was cool. My dad was tearing up as well, and Sean McWhorter put a lot of time and effort into our program during that era. And it was a really cool win. That's something that I'll never ever forget till the day I die. Like that was probably one of the best experiences. And obviously like the championship, and racing on dirt for my first time and finishing second. But um definitely probably the first feature win was probably, like I said, the most surreal feeling in the world. But the worst one is Autumn Colors, and I think it was 2020 or 2019,
Yeah.
getting, tasting the victory, and then that
Getting
was
ripped from
it.
your hands.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
I'd say no more. I think
yeah.
a lot of us know a lot of us know about that, so you don't need to get into that if you
Yeah.
don't want to. We'll move on here. Spencer Riddell. He goes, "What's your favorite racetrack to run?"
Peterborough Speedway. There's nothing like Peterborough Speedway. I've raced at, Delaware, Chicasa, Sunset, Flamborough, Varney, Sauble. I think I've raced at every track in Ontario except Grand Bend. And nothing is like, I've raced a lot of things at Peterborough. I've raced like a bone stock, mini stock, super stock, late model, and a modified there. And nothing compares to the G forces and the speed that you feel inside the race car like it is in the late model at Peterborough Speedway. And it's just such a tough, wore out, hard grit race car driver racetrack. Like I've never, like before we got that, like the car that I have now, like before we built it back in 2017, my best finish at Sunset and Flamborough and stuff, I think I was like 10th was my best finish. And we went to Autumn Colors back and we used to get 40 cars, and I finished sixth my first time actually like competing in it and being able to get into the show and stuff. And I was like, damn, like this racetrack's awesome. And we've just had a lot of success there. We've had zero results. Um, we've been pretty fast there every time we've been there. Um, but some way mechanical failures, issues on the racetrack and stuff has really thrown a wrench in our results and stuff there. But like I said, that's the best racetrack in Ontario to the day I die. I love Sunset. It's my home track. It's been my home track since I first started racing. I grew up at Sunset. My dad used to race there, and my papa and stuff. But you know, Peterborough Speedway, just for the atmosphere of the racing and the surface, I just love it.
That's, you know what? I love Peterborough. It's such a You don't need a lot to drive there, but you just need to be skilled to drive there.
Yeah.
Next, we're going to Spencer dropped us 3 questions as well. Like I said, this is probably I think this has actually surpassed the first time I had Ray Morneau on the show for how many questions we got. So I think we're gonna fill up this last half of the show with just these fan questions, which is
I
fun.
gotta beat him at some point in my life, so I'm all right with that.
Spencer Riddell continues on, going to ask, who inspired you to be the man/driver you are today?
Um, that's tough. Because I think that's a single-sided answer, like uh my mom has my whole life, it hasn't been no peaches and roses and sunshine and flowers and stuff. And my mom made sure to keep, getting in my head that to be my own person, I wanted to go to the racetrack and not be, I love my dad to death, and my grandparents and my grandfather and stuff. They used to race, and my mom always said to be your own person. I didn't want to go to the racetrack and say, oh, that's Wally Everingham's kid, or that's, Carolyn Everingham's kid. Like I wanted it to be, that's Coltin Everingham. And when they see my parents, I want them to be, oh, that's Colton's mom. That's something my mom strived a lot with racing and everyday life. And she never ever gave up on constantly telling me that stuff, and I've just, I've been blessed by a lot of people in my lifetime, and especially with racing. Um, like I said, it hasn't always been sunshine and roses. We've been on the end of the struggle bus, and wrecked a lot of stuff. And I feel as though like I'd rather race with 30 people for the win than race by myself. And I'm probably one of the first person to offer a helping hand to everybody. And it's just cool to see people on the racetrack, because that's something that I would hope that one day people would do for me. And I think with everything that I've done in my past, I mean, I don't do it to get anything out of it. I do it just for the enjoyment of watching, 30 cars on the racetrack. But, we blew up 2 weeks ago, and 5 minutes after the race, when I was talking to Daniel Hahn, he said, come get his motor. And, you know, it's $15,000 motor before taxes, $16,000 motor. And he didn't even hesitate. And at first I just blow up my motor. I don't want to blow up somebody else's motor. And then he, messaged me the next day and he said, seriously, like, come get your motor, finish off the year, run the races you want to run. Um, you know, you're a really good dude and we want to help you. So it's kind of the feeling of, like I said, I don't need people to, I do a lot of things for a lot of people that go unnoticed, and that's what I want it to be. I don't do
Yeah,
it to make myself look better than anybody else in the world, but I believe in karma. I'm a big karma believer, and one day, I mean, it does pay itself off. Like I said, with the motor from the Hans, and there's been times that we've struggled to get to the racetrack, and people have stepped up to help us, and I don't know. You gotta stay humble. You gotta be passionate about what you're doing, and if you can give a hand, give a hand.
absolutely. Um, as a fan, who's your favorite driver to cheer for?
Um, that's a loaded question too.
We got
It
tons of these, man.
Yeah, no, it's kind of tough because I watch a lot of racing. I watch a lot of people how they are in the pits and stuff, and I mean, like, Andy Camrath put on a show everywhere he went. He was dominant in every car he's ever been in.
Yep.
I always loved watching him race. Jordan House. I couldn't do it. I tried jumping from a mini stock to a super stock, and I had to pull off in the Young Guns races at Peterborough because I couldn't do it. And he goes out and wins in the mini stock and jumps in the pro late model and wins in the pro late model. No more than like 15 minutes after, and it's absolutely insane. Or guys like Cam Thompson, like that guy is one of the most humble people I've ever met in my life. He's a really good race car driver, sprint car driver. I think he's going to take my knee on and race a couple races this year. And we've got talks, about me racing a race or two in a sprint car if we can wedge myself in it. But honestly, like that's such a loaded question. I love how Spencer races. He's probably one of the cleanest race car drivers I've ever met, and he just tries again every week. It's not
Yep.
he doesn't let shit get to his head. And sorry for swearing.
It's all good, man.
Yeah, he just doesn't let stuff get to his head. And like I said, like there's so many people that I enjoy watching. From bone stocks to super late models like Jared Fitzpatrick. It's awesome to watch in the super. Kyle Steckley, like
Oh my
racing
God.
here. He's an amazing race car driver. Trayton Latzvich is insane. Taylor Holdaway, they're struggling this year, but like all these guys, there's so many people that I look up to, and I would just like to be a half the driver that these guys are.
Absolutely. Like you named off some great race car drivers. And I know you're a humble guy, but I would throw you into that mix as well.
Well, I appreciate that.
Like I would throw you into that mix as well for being one of the best race car drivers in Ontario. I've seen you drive many a times, and you've always done very well. Um, I know this year's kind of been an up and down year. Like we talked about it beforehand.
Yeah,
Like it's been an up and down year, and trust me, I hated when you and Roy got into it when I was filming there back in July.
yeah,
I hated that because I was like, damn, like I like Cole. I'm like, I got great footage. It just sucks.
yeah,
Oh, but
yeah. No,
uh,
100%.
our next trio of questions comes to us from Wally Wilson. What's your favorite car you've driven?
Um, it's gonna be a mix-up, honestly, between Wade's like dirt mini stock. Um, and probably the modified. The modified was fun. It was something that I had zero expectations to get into, and we ran actually very well when we didn't have issues and stuff. And
Yeah.
at Peterborough, I finished fourth or third in it, and it was awesome. I was running with the top guys, mind you, without like not including Andy. That guy was in a league of his own, but it was awesome. I had such a good time. But those are probably the two of my, obviously the super stock, but like two of the coolest things that I got the opportunities to do.
Next question we kind of gloss over because Wally said, "What's your favorite track?" We had a nice chat about that being Peterborough.
Yeah.
What's a race you'll never forget?
Autumn colors.
That's understandable. Our next question. This one, I'm excited to understand this one. This one comes to us from Ray Morneau. What does Stip Nepo mean?
It's funny. So, like I said, I spot for Ray,
Yep,
um, and we were at a Sawwell the first time, and they showed us that they're having pits open sign.
yep.
So I look at Ray and I said, we're in trouble here. And he says, well, why? And I said, well, I'm dyslexic. So it was just a joke. Like it's not something to joke about, but I was like, so when we started rolling right off the start, I'm like, just so you know, I'll let you guys know when it Stips Nepo. And he's like, what did you say? I'm like, Stips Nepo. I'll tell you when Stips Nepo.
I'm
uh,
sorry, I'm not meaning to laugh because like I get it now. But as
yeah,
soon as you said pits open, I'm looking at, I'm like, it's pits open backwards.
yeah, yeah.
That's
So
I'm sorry for laughing, man.
no, it's okay.
That's
I'm not dyslexic. I was just making a joke. So, and
yeah.
it probably wasn't a funny joke to be making, but I just, we're
Oh
all
my
trying to have
God.
a good time in racing and stuff and take some seriousness out of it. So you got a chuckle out of it in the car, but
Ain't nothing wrong with that.
mm-mm.
Next one comes to us from Cam K. Harris. How do you feel the super stock class is doing in 2024?
Oh, it's awesome. I think Sunset's really amped up their promotional aspect of it. It really sucks to see that these other tracks are struggling because I think Sunset with all divisions have just skyrocketed.
Oh
Like
yeah.
last year I think we had like 10 cars to 8 cars every night. Now we got 15 cars and they're like very, very, very competitive. And out of those 15 cars, I think anybody can actually win on any given night. Like there isn't somebody that's just stinking up the show and driving away. And I think we're in good shape. I'd like to see a little bit less of a tire. I think that there needs to be more of a tire rule and stuff for, the Daco series, the Sunset series, the Delaware series. Like every track that I've been to, the only one that I think is probably on the good one is Peterborough. They're on different tires than what we run everywhere else, but I think those tires get faster from what I've read as the year goes on. So nobody's really putting on tires unless the guys are spending the money to shave them down to get them to those where the raw speed is. But
Yeah.
I think it's good. We've had good car counts at, the Frank Davies race. The Sunset Daco race was a really good car count. I know there's been a couple other, Peterborough Daco race was a good car count. The other ones have struggled a bit. I'm not entirely sure why, but they have. It sucks because, super stock racing, I think, is the best racing in Ontario. It don't matter if somebody's got $100 million that you're racing against. It takes a lot of driver aspect out of it to drive a super stock because
Yeah.
they're not easy to drive. But I think it's in good shape. I think a lot of the tracks are going in the right direction. I just, there's some stuff that they got to work on, but um, overall, I think it's pretty good this year.
I was joking with Nick Tooley back at the Frank Davies race when I was out there recording it, the second race day vlog with
Yeah,
Roy. I was joking with him saying how much would it be to rent his super stock up at Sunset? Just I was like, man, these things look like fun to drive, like, and especially at Sunset, they're a blast. They look fun.
yeah. Peterborough, they're insane. Like Sunset's a fun racetrack. You got two grooves, and
Yeah,
you can do three grooves if you want. It's a little tight coming out of four, but Peterborough in a super stock and modified a Pro Late model mini stock is just absolutely insane. Like the
yeah.
speed you carry and for, what is it, a 3/8 of a mile? Or is it smaller than that? I don't know.
It's a third.
A third, correct. And it is the toughest racetrack I've been to. And it's just so hard on your body. After autumn colors is over, like on the Sunday, you're just, mellowing out by a fire, having a drink because you're wore out. You don't want to do nothing, but it's a blast.
Oh yeah. Our next question comes to us from Carson Nagy. What was your favorite and least favorite race in the stand for the 93?
Uh, like I said, I love the Nagys. I love Carson. He's an amazing person. My least favorite was 2 weeks ago. He pulled off because there was a little bit of smoke in the car, and I yelled at him afterwards and said, "I don't drive 3 hours for you to pull off." Um, it ended up being a little bit of a training leak, but it wasn't
Oh,
enough
Jesus.
to take him out of the race. And he's being conservative of his his car and his
Yeah.
sponsors and stuff. So I'll give him that. But the most like the best one I think was it was a race with might have been this year. I'm not 100% certain. With Lane, Carson, and Trevor Culver, and they're three wide, smashing into each other sideways off every corner with 2 laps to go, and it was like just insane. And Carson held on to it for the win, and it's like up in the spotter stand. And it was this year because I was spotted for Ray too, because it same stuff happened with Ray the next race, and my heart beating a million miles an hour, and the adrenaline rush was like far more than I've ever experienced in a race car. So that was probably something that was one of the coolest experiences, but him pulling off just really grinds my gears.
Understandable. Brady Cox continues here, goes, what do you prefer driving? What do you prefer, driving or crewing or spotting? And why?
Definitely driving. It's just fun. You know, it's always the highs of the highs and the lows of the lows. Racing is probably one of the most humbling sports that there is. There's guys that are going to outdollar you, but nobody can outwork you. So it's driving is honestly, I think, my favorite one, but working on them is also a blast too. Like I do a lot of work with Taylor Holdaway and I've, with Sean McWhorter, he's there helping him. But when it's just Taylor and I, like I'm Taylor's right hand man, and it's really cool the knowledge and understanding of, late models and car working on setups and stuff with your own stuff has been a really, really cool experience.
And then his second question here is, when are you bringing the neon out?
I don't know. I'm not going to be racing it this year. Well, as of now, I'm not. If they don't have a Frosttoberfest, I'm going to bring it down to Flamborough. I haven't driven it, and I think I've raced it once and maybe twice, and I struggled. I blew up in it, and then I lost brakes the first time I drove it. The second time I blew up, and then Carson drove it, Wade drove it, Cam drove it. Like everybody else has driven it. I think, like I said, I have yet to drive it. We put a lot of work in it over the winter. Um, the plan is to have Cam Thompson in it on Sunday for the Alan Lincoln race. It all depends on, we already have it set in stone with each other. It all depends if I can get everything done that needs to be done to give him a good piece.
Yeah. Jesse Howard asks, can I drive your super stock?
If you can get some leg extensions and some, booster seats sitting in there, absolutely.
Cassie also asks, would you race a bone stock again?
Oh yeah, bone stock racing is the most fun. I would not do it at Delaware, I don't think. It's boring. I raced a 75 lapper there with in a bone stock David Rockwood's car, and like 3 hours went by, it felt like, and I like looked up and I'm like, oh, we gotta be almost done. And we ran like 26 laps. And I'm
Oh,
like, this
jeez.
is brutal. Flamborough was like the most fun I've ever had in a bone stock. I drove David Rockwood's car there again, and we were slicing and dicing five wide and not smashing into each other. Them guys, like a lot of people look down on bone stock racing, but when they're on and they're not, driving like donkeys, but I mean,
Yeah.
every class they start driving like donkeys too. But when they're on and they're like interested in putting on a good show and everybody's, being respectful and stuff, it is like some of the most amazing racing you'll ever watch. And like I said, a lot of people look down on them, but you gotta get in one and race. Bones. I think Flamborough Speedway's got their stuff going on for bone stock racing because it is absolutely insane. Like Frosttoberfest, I ran there. It was just nuts. Like five wide, like I say, not hitting anybody, and it's not even a one lane race. Like it's tough to make a 2 lane racetrack out of it, and we're slicing and dicing five wide. It was awesome.
Uh, yeah, honestly, bone stock this year especially, they've gone up to like 23 cars. I'd say they're averaging at least 20 cars a night, which is fantastic.
Hmm.
Um, I think that is compared to Delaware, like that's some of the best, the most cars for a bone stock division in Ontario on a Saturday night, I think is actually at Flamborough. So
Yeah.
they're doing something right there at least. Um, our next question is another question from Jesse Howard and goes, what is some of the best advice you have been given, and what advice would you give to someone else that's new to racing?
Uh, Best advice I've probably been given is not giving up. Like I said, we've been down in the slumps um, this year, especially. But I mean, like we haven't really had a breakout year since we won the championship. After we won the championship, we lost 3 motors in 2 weeks. It's been a nightmare, but a couple times wanting to throw in the towel and just people, because it is something a lot of people know how passionate I am about racing and how much drive I have for it. And, that's probably the best advice. I don't know if it's financially the best advice, but the best advice is honestly not giving up. But for, advice I can give anybody else is don't matter if you're a female, you're a male, whatever you might be, you know, just race each other with the same amount of respect you want to be raced. You can't be, driving through people and moving people and not expect to get it back. And like you said, it's one of the most humbling sports and that I've ever been a part of. I've done a lot of sports in my life. You get the highs of the highs and lows of the lows, but just don't give up, just keep pushing in something if you're passionate about, and the results will follow.
Our next question comes to us from Ashley McMartin. What is your pre-race rituals? Do you have any race-related superstition? And what is your day after race routine?
Oh, I have to wear you know, I threw them out after I won the championship, and I think that's why I've been on a slouch. I've had these pair of boxers that I always wore, and they're my favorite boxers. And I won my first race in 2017, my first feature with them, and every race day I was wearing them. I mean, I would wash them,
That's
of
awesome.
course.
Yeah, I hope so.
But I've tried to break it up this year. I'm starting to go back to it because I think that our motor issue with it expiring, a couple weeks ago, has plagued us all year. I think it's been a motor issue all year that was internal and we didn't know. But like when I get in the car, it's like left clip on the neck brace, right clip on the neck brace, left seat belt, right seat belt, steering wheel, then left glove, right glove all the time. And same with the earphones, left side, right side. My window net cannot go up until I'm done all my stuff. I talk to my car when I'm sitting on the back stretch, just be good to me, keep me safe. And depending how the night goes the night before on the Sunday, if we ran well and I'm happy with the car, then it gets a little bit of a break of being yelled at and screamed at when we unload it from the trailer into the shop. But there's not too much we do on the Sunday, if we got wrecked or something, or we need body parts, or any issues that might have happened on race day. Um, we'll get a list together because obviously nothing's open on the Sunday that where we order our parts from, and get that all geared up because you got a 4-day turnaround, 5-day turnaround. I like to try to be done by Wednesday in a week, so it gives you 2 days to just make sure you have actually everything done. So
Sean Morissette says commented on his by mistake. And how did you land such an amazing woman? And he's got a couple more questions, but we'll ask after that.
I don't know. Maybe it's just my good looks. Maybe she just landed such an amazing guy.
The other two questions Sean has asked here, you've already answered. Uh, Favorite tractor race and favorite class you've raced. Uh, Dave Sigma asks, I need to know what track has the best dip.
uh, I'm gonna say after about 10 o'clock at Peterborough Speedway with Dave Sigma, his wife. I have so much respect for the Sigma family, and Dave and I and Jennifer and their daughters and their kids and stuff, and we get along so good. And every year I go to On Colors. It was started last year with the dip, but they make such uh, one of their friends, Jennifer, I think her name is, she makes no, it's not Jennifer, I lied. But anyway, her one of their friends makes this amazing dip, and it is like the most craziest, insane dip I've ever had in my life.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know what's in it. I don't ask questions because I probably don't want to know what's in it, but it is absolutely astonishing.
Oh my God. That's awesome. The next one comes to us from Lisa the Bear Marno. Who is your favorite Marno and why?
I'm just gonna have to be honest. Dana told me to be honest. I'm gonna have to pick her mom. Her mom made me some peanut butter cookies a few weeks ago, and I've been craving for the longest time a nice, peanut butter cookie. Now, I don't want peanut butter chunks in it. I just want a peanut butter soft cookie. And her mom's like, "Oh, I make peanut butter cookies. I can make them for you." And it's funny. So I was talking to before this weekend. I said to Dana, I said, Can you make me some peanut butter cookies?" She said, "Oh, I'll ask my mom." I'm like, "Well, perfect," because hers tasted awesome. So she's definitely on the top of my list because I would have picked Ray, of course, but it may be better and less salt on the wound if I pick her mother before Dana.
That's awesome. Sean Morissette asks, would you ever go ice racing?
Yeah, yeah. There's not much racing that I wouldn't do.
That looks like fun.
Yeah. I used to take my mom's car when I was in high school and stuff and drift around the corners and just beat the crap out of it. And then when I broke it after the third or fourth time, she finally bought a new vehicle and said, you can fix it yourself and you can have this. And then I stopped beating the crap out of it for the longest part. But no, in the wintertime when I had my truck, I used to love drifting around in the corners and stuff and going into parking lots, of course, and doing it.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, no, honestly, like I would try pretty well any sorts of racing. I don't know if I'd be too keen on like those. I don't know if it's like demo cross or jumping and stuff. I don't know how. Yeah, I
Oh,
don't.
yeah.
I'm 27 years old and I feel like I'm 90 half the time. Like, I don't know if my back could handle going up
Yeah.
jumps in street cars and just pounding the crap out of your
Pound of the
body.
dirt, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm the dumb guy who wants to be the middle car of a train.
So actually, I did train racing one time.
Did you
Well,
really?
I did a practice at
Okay.
Barney. So during COVID, Barney was doing Gord Bennett, and I mean, a lot of people looked down on it. There was a lot of, the social distancing stuff,
Yeah.
and we had to pay before we went, so like we weren't interacting with many
Yep.
people. We had to stay in our pits, kind of thing, and I raced probably about 20 times at Barney, 15 times at the second year of COVID when everything was still shut down, and I had Billy Zardo's bone stock, and I raced there every Saturday. It was fun. I was pissed off because I was cheating like crazy and I was still losing. Like I had VTEC, which are not allowed. I had winter tires, which are not allowed. I had 35 washers in the right rear to make the car turn, which are not allowed. And it just made me so angry because I was cheating so much and I was
Oh my
getting beat
God.
every race, and it just pissed me off because I wanted to freaking checkered flag. But um, the name of the guy is not coming to me. But he come over and he asked me if I would do it, and I'm like, yeah, sure. I said, which car? I said, the first car or the middle car or the back car? He says, the back car. I'm like, oh yeah. The guy in the middle's, or no, it was the middle car, I believe. Yeah, it was the middle car. I'm like, the guy in the back's just a moron. Screw that. Like that guy's crazy. And I went out into practice, they told me what I needed to do and stuff, and it's really, really, really weird not hitting the gas pedal, and you're just,
You're just riding along.
yeah, you got brakes. The
Yeah.
middle car and the back car now had brakes. It used to be just the back car that had brakes,
Yeah.
and we come out and I did it, and wow, that was pretty cool. It was kind of crazy, and then they're like, oh, like, why'd you want to be in the middle car? Because when he asked me, I said I wouldn't go in the back car. And I said,
Yeah.
oh, the middle car won't flip over. And they're like, well, yeah, it does. And I'm like, well, how? And they're like, oh, like sometimes it flips over. It's actually probably more easier to flip over than the back car sometimes. And I'm like, well, I don't know if the guy was pulling my leg, but I said, like, what happens like if you flip over in the middle car? And they said they make it so they go bumper to bumper to bumper, and the guy in the back slams on the brakes, and the guy in the front gets on the gas, and it tightens the chains and flips you over. And after that, we put Chris LeBaron in the car. I said, hey man, these guys need a guide. Can you get in there? And he's, yeah, absolutely. And he gets out all sore and stuff because they moved him to the back car and he was bouncing
Yeah.
all over the racetrack. And I was like, yeah, screw that.
I've always wanted to give it a shot just once because like you said, the middle car is where the dumbest guy goes,
Yeah,
and I would 100% be down. I
yeah.
don't care how my body feels. Like I'm a few years older than you. I don't care how my body feels. I just want to be that middle car because if I flip over, I know I'm just along for the ride, and it'd be so much fun.
Well,
Like that's just me. I mean,
yeah.
now they got a fire suit and everything, guys. If anyone wants to put me in a middle car, I'll be more than happy to. Just don't tell my wife.
Yeah,
Uh,
exactly.
our last Facebook question comes to us from Justin Knapp. Why did you cut your hair?
Um, like I'm very superstitious over some crazy things, and I don't know where it come from. I learned to not fix things if it's not broken. I haven't won a race with my mullet. I've not even been close to winning a race with my mullet. So that's the first thing that went. I mean, it's just hair. It grows back. If it don't grow back, it is what it is. But my next thing is my beard. My beard will be going if I don't win and what yeah, if I don't win a race in the next 2 to 3 races, I'm shaving the beard off too. I'm gonna try that and see if maybe that can give us some luck.
We're gonna go back to a babyface Colt,
Oh
eh?
yeah, yeah.
Our Instagram questions. We got William underscore trillion. Why did you choose your number?
Big Jimmy Johnson fan. My sister, she used to race when she like when I first started, and she wanted 23, and it's been a family number and stuff. And nobody in my family's had 48, and I've just like I said, I'm a big Jimmy Johnson fan, and that's how it all started.
You know, nothing wrong with that. That's a pretty good one. LMT Motorsports. How do you prepare for next season, and what are three of your top must-dos?
Biggest thing is it don't matter if you had a good year. Now I know we won the championship and we ran on them colors and we melted a lot of wiring. Driver door slammed a guy in front of me and I drove underneath him and it melted all the wiring and we got it like half back together. Going to Flamborough. We raced Flamborough the next week and it wasn't right. So I mean we still won the championship, but we had the car stripped down to a bare chassis and going through it all, making sure that everything was still good. Like you don't know, it's metal, with racing and beating and banging off people, it could, I mean, it's not supposed to, but welds could break and
Yep.
and it's very tough throughout the year to be able to see all the bars and stuff throughout the car and every component on the car when the body's on it and the motor and stuff's in. So that's like one of the biggest things that we always do is we strip the car down completely and just go through everything to make sure that everything's in tip top shape because I hate DNFs. I mean, we've been pretty good. I mean, without the motors are kind of out of your control when there's really no signs of when they're going to go when they're just had enough they go. So, but we've been in my 13 or 14 years of racing, I think we've had like 6 or 7 DNFs, which is something that we pride ourselves a lot at here.
That's really good.
Yeah, it's nothing pisses me off more than something stupid happening and something that was just being lazy and not looking. My dad and I do all the work on the cars, so it's at the end of the day, it's only him and I that are the ones to blame if something comes amiss because of it. We've been in this together for a long time and none of that stuff should be happening. So I'm glad that it hasn't. Better knock on some wood, but yeah. So that's kind of how we prepare. Every year. I'm big on treating something that's keeping you safe and something that you want to have. You know, treating you well on the racetrack. I know it's not a brain, it doesn't have a brain and stuff, but it's just, the maintenance programs and have to be huge. I don't understand how people are okay with jumping back into a race car that's at, I'm fortunate enough to have a shop, even though it floods and we have no heat and stuff in the wintertime, but I just don't get how you would be able, like comfortable wise jumping into
Yeah.
a car that's sat, in the snowbank or under a tarp all winter and you leave it outside all the time. And, like I said, not many people are allowed to or fortunate enough to have shops, but and they make do with what they got. But if that's the case, then just make sure you go through your stuff so you don't have, these crazy, stupid things happening on the racetrack. So you have DNFs.
Oh, you got that right. Like you I've always been a big proponent of once the season's done, doesn't matter how well you ran, doesn't matter or how bad you ran. This next season starts the day after your final race for that year.
100%.
Especially if you're planning on running a full-time schedule or whatever your deal is for next year, or if you already even have an idea, your planning and your goals start the next day. They don't start in March when we're all at
No.
Motorama celebrating a brand new season and you're, barely a month from practice day. No, no, no.
Yeah,
They start five like it's unreal.
so like I'm a big believer on that all too. And like I always had every 9 times out of 10, unless they come up with like a last minute deal. Like last year we picked up the car the Friday of opening night. Like the opening night was the next day and my dad
Yeah.
and I worked on it for 16 hours to get the thing done. Just missed all the practicing and stuff. But it's funny with, not like I always like to have my stuff done in like January,
Yeah.
and then you can sit back and relax and, work harder to make some more money to be able to do this. And Johnny Morrison actually, and he is one of the amazing people that always help me, and he's such an amazing competitor, an amazing person, and I have a lot of respect for Johnny. And he come over to my shop. So we started racing in May this year, and he come over to my shop. I think it was like around like April 25th, 26th. And he's like, "Hey, you got a bumper?" And I'm like, "Yeah, like I thought you were racing this year." And he says, "Yeah, like I'm just gonna put a bumper on the car and I don't have the motor in." And Thursday night, before racing, he's putting the motor in, and I said, I'm gonna, and Johnny and I bust each other's chops all the time, and I said, I'm gonna be so frustrated if you come. I put all this work all winter in this car, and you come out and beat me tomorrow. And the worst part is you did, and it's funny because like I said, he don't care about the cosmetic aspect of it. He want cosmetics don't win you races.
Yep.
And he's keep saying to me, he's like, you got to stop worrying about him. We tore up the nose a bit, and I put a little patch of aluminum on the outside and sent him a picture because normally I would put a new nose on it just because I like making things look 100% nice. But with the year we've had, it's financially it's killed me. So
Yeah.
I sent him a picture, and he says, finally, I'm starting to rub off on you. So.
I mean, it's yeah, it's crazy. I tell Jacqueline all the time, like and I'm not comparing what we do behind the scenes on the
Mhm.
media stuff
Yeah.
to what you guys do because I joke with Jacqueline as well with my wife Jacqueline because she doesn't she's new to racing.
Mhm.
Ever since we got together, she's now started to get and understand racing. And I look at her, I'm like, listen, as much as I'm not driving a race car, what I do for behind the scenes, like what I do now, is no different than what a lot of these teams go through. There's technically no off season.
Yep.
Once my final checker flag is done for the year, off all that stuff, I'm already planning for the next year.
Mhm.
I have 6 months to get everything ready so that by the first race, God willing, anything bad happen, it is just maintenance throughout the season.
Yeah,
That's all it
100%.
should be. You, like you said, you tear everything down, you rebuild
Yeah.
it, make sure it's nice and pretty for that first race of the year,
Yeah.
right? And then as soon as the season goes on, just maintenance. Obviously, unless
Mhm.
something big happens, then you gotta do a major overhaul.
Yeah.
But and she's like, none of them take a break. I'm like, no, not really. If you're a smart driver and a smart team, you don't take a break. You want to find that extra tenth, even if you're not racing. You can find where that extra 2/10 or 3/10 you've been looking for. You can
Yeah.
find it by just stripping down your car and redoing it.
Yeah. Races aren't one of they are one on the racetrack, but races are one on the shop. You know what I mean? Like
Yep.
I remember Andy Camera told me that years ago when he says, you know, do you unload your car Sunday morning and start working on it? And at that point I did, and I said no. And he says, there's where you're already behind your competitors. So
Absolutely. Like it's unreal. Like it's crazy. But we're that's gonna wrap up our very extended version of our tailored to you medium design fan question periods. Of course, we got to thank Colton for taking the time to answer those questions. But make sure you guys follow her on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. Guys, she does. I don't even have my Tumblr in my room right now with me. So, but she does Tumblr. She does a lot of things. She designed our initial Joan Media logo. Go give her a follow. Go give her a like. And if you guys are looking for anything for your race team, hit her up. She made my mouse pad for Christ's sakes, and I love it. It's I use it at I don't go anywhere without my computers without my mouse pad now because of it. So but yeah, Colton, thank you for taking the time to answer those awesome and fun questions.
no problem at all. I appreciate, everything yourself and your wife, because obviously without your wife's support, you probably weren't going to be doing this stuff. And Cam Harris and Stickers and Scuff, it's amazing what you guys do. And you know, obviously it's expensive to do, and you guys, are get some help out of it or whatever. But you guys are for the racers, and that's something that I have the utmost respect for both of you guys. And you guys help each other out, which is even cooler. You guys don't just crap on each other for,
No.
like stickers and scuffs has been on my race car for a few years now, and you know, I'm a big supporter of Cam and Graydon, and they're not crapping on you for asking me to come on and stuff, and I have a lot of respect for that, for two two companies, we'll say
Yeah.
companies that I have a lot of respect for.
Oh yeah, me and Cam, we always have conversations that like half of y'all don't even know about behind the scenes, just talking about racing. Like even last night, we had a whole conversation about Flambro because he got to go to my stomping grounds and got to see realistically what a Saturday night short track racing program looks like at Flambro. So the whole night I'm like, "Do you have a Flamburger? Would you enjoy the most?" And he's going off and telling me what he likes about it. And I love that though we're two different entities, we work together because we both have the same the goal is that we
Yeah,
want to see racing in Ontario grow. We want
100%.
we want these new people to come in, and though we get a lot of the same listeners in each week, we're hoping that someone is looking for a new podcast and they stumble across one of ours.
Hmm.
Like we want to see racing in Ontario grow, and that's the goal. If we're both over here tearing each other down and creating a division, we're not lifting up the sport. We're not promoting in a good light. If we're so strict on like only stickers and scuffs guys can go here, only Joe and Medio drivers can go here. No, we're all family, we're all friends. That's why like a couple weeks ago, Cam asked me if I would take him up to Sunset with me.
Yeah,
I was like, yeah, I got no issues with that. I told him
yeah,
if you want to ride to Flamborough, let me know. If I'm when I'm going, hit me up. I will take you down. I got no
yeah.
issues. Like, but that's the great part about when we have people like Cam and I and Graydon, and we want to see the sport excel and spread, and we want to see more because I do feel in Ontario especially we've had some amazing short track racers that could have gone on a long way. And I grew up in at Flamborough with the Elliots, the House, the Stewarts, the Shaws, like in my opinion, some really big names in Ontario racing,
Huge names.
right? And they, in my opinion, they were so good they could have had a chance to go down south, in
Yep,
my opinion.
100%. Yeah, I agree with you.
And I hate that they never got a chance or they never could get that opportunity to go down there. And this is why I'm so thankful for Chase Pincinel and Kyle Steckley and Train Lapsovich for being able to break that. I guess you could say they've really broken through this year. All three of them have picked up a win this year,
Yeah,
you know, at some point. And that is what we want. I want to see is to show the talent pool we have in Ontario down in the States because I want to show them that hell, we got some great racers.
yeah.
They need to be seen.
Hmm.
So sorry, I didn't mean to. That
No,
was my
you're
little
good.
rant there. Uh,
No, good.
but Colton, man, it's been an absolute blast as per usual. I've had a lot of fun catching up with you. Again, we're gonna get you on, not in 120 episodes or whatever it was this time around. We'll get you back soon enough again. Uh, because I didn't even get to actually, you know what? I got a few minutes.
All right.
If you're up for it, I think we've kind of talked about we haven't really talked about this in person or anything like about that, but one of the things I do admire about you is uh is the way you speak about mental health. I want to get on a little serious note before we wrap up here, if that's okay with you.
Yeah, yeah,
You are a big outspoken person about mental health and that uh a lot of people do suffer with it, not only in the racing world but in every day-to-day life as well. um I know I handed you a couple of lift the visor stickers the last time I was at Sunset, and I appreciate you for grabbing those stickers, and of course anyone who does reach out to me and ask for those stickers, I appreciate you guys because it is the charity that the money is going towards is near and dear to my heart. I think it's really good. Um, that Scott Sinelli is raising money for the Grand River Hospital's mental health section. And it's nice that we have people like Jory Elliott who want to help talk about it, break the mold, break again, like we always say, lift the visor on mental health. So um if you want to chat about it, you've been a big proponent of it. I've seen a lot of your posts, and you know what, man, it means a lot when I see people like yourself open up and talk about it, because it's not an easy thing to go through for anyone.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I lost, somebody that was very important to me a few years back and
Yep.
to it. And that's kind of what really opened my eyes on it. I lost a couple friends in high school that I never really, I don't know the proper wording. I didn't really understand and I just brushed it off kind of thing. And, they weren't like, I wasn't super close friends with them, but I mean, like they're 16 years old, 17 years old. And I mean, like you have a whole life ahead of you kind of thing. And, losing Melissa was probably like the toughest thing I've ever been through, to be honest with you. I never ever imagined something like that would ever happen to, just a couple teenagers, and young adults kind of thing. And it's really put a different perspective on life for me. Every day's not promised, and that's
Yep.
what probably keeps me so humble is that somebody out there is, I could, I was talking with a couple of my buddies about my shot putting, and they're like, "Oh, I don't know how you do it." And like, every spring we've gotten a little bit better now, but like almost every spring and every fall, it's like 6 to 7 inches of water in there, and
Oh, geez.
yeah, it's not like, we go out there and wearing rubber boots and stuff to try to get the car ready for the next weekend, but with talking with them, they say, I don't know how you stay so humble. And I said, well, there's people out there that, wish that they could have a 16th of what I have, like, and what I've been blessed with in life. And, there's people that look up for you and there's always somebody that's way worse off than you. I'm not saying that any of your problems and stuff is, less than somebody else's, but, there's somebody, out there that, like I said, would be willing to take on the sacrifices of the, what we go through in an everyday life just to have a fraction of what we have, and so you gotta stay humble. I don't know. It's just something that I've worked on with myself. Sometimes I get carried away and get frustrated, and I'm a very opinionated person, and I don't hold back with a lot of things when sometimes I should, and it makes me look really bad as a person. But I'm a human. I make mistakes, and I do my best to be the best person I can. There's like I said, we all make mistakes in lives, but it's
Yep.
how you grow and how you move on past growing on that. And like I said, after Melissa passed away, it just my my outlook on mental health has changed significantly. I it sucks. I would never ever wish what I've been through and obviously her parents and her brothers and stuff, but what I've been through dealing with it
Yep.
on anybody. My worst enemy. I don't it's a really shitty feeling. And like I said, there's more to life than what catches the eye. You can't just I mean, it's easier said than done, but um taking the pain away for yourself when the grass is very greener on the other side kind of thing is not the best road to go. There's always, you matter, people care about you. A lot of people love you. It's one of the most important things that I think a lot of people lack now is just being kind to people.
Yeah.
People like being butt heads and rude and ignorant to all these people and like on how people come up, and I try to be the best version of myself because you don't know what somebody's going through. And I can't change the world, but I can change somebody's world, you know, and that's kind of
Absolutely.
something that I really means a lot to me, and I just wanted to, you know, I try to brush off a little bit of it to as many people as I can, and you know, people don't want to hear you preaching about stuff, you know, and you know, people could care less about mental health, people could care less about a lot of things, and I just, you know, if I'm always there for people, probably more than I should be, but I look after more people, you know, health and what they're going through than myself. But it's just the type of person I am. You know, like I said,
Yeah.
I'm pretty humble. I'm blessed with, you know, I have a roof over my head. I have food when I come home. I have, you know, parents that love me. I have people that love me, and it's something that no matter what, that every time that I wake up every morning, I know that at the very least I got my two parents that love me and have a house over my head, a roof over my head, house over my
You're not the Wicked Witch of the West there, bud. Uh,
head.
no, man, it's yeah, I completely agree with you. It's one of those things that like I have a song that I kind of whenever I start feeling a certain way, I listen to it and it really uh reminds me to be
Mhm.
blessed about what you have um and not take everything for granted. And that's it's a great big sea song called Ordinary Day. Whenever I start feeling a certain way, I just play that and it just reminds me it's the tapping, that they
Yeah,
have at the beginning of the song. It clicks in and like, hey, today's just a day, tomorrow's a new day. And I'm thankful for guys like you to that are willing to talk about it because it's still such a hard topic for a lot of people to discuss. Um, but I do think I gotta thank you, man, for chatting about it, obviously, because I know it's a tough subject to talk about.
yeah, 100%. But like I said, I don't want anybody going through it. And you know, like even when Mel passed away, I had a lot of people reaching out that were struggling, and I was like talking to my mom about it. My mom's like, "You gotta like step back and like look after yourself." And I'm like, "Yeah, but I don't want to go through this with other people too." And
Absolutely.
like I said, my thing is I walk outside. I breathe in the fresh air. You know, I got a house over my head. I got two great parents that love me, and you know, I have other people that obviously love me as well. But you know, at the end of the day, I got two amazing parents. You know, a roof over my head, and I got food on the table when I need it, and that's you know that's what keeps me humble. You know,
Absolutely. And on that note, like I said, we'll get you back on. We'll talk more about it. We'll talk behind the scenes as well before before I spring something like that on you again. But it's been an absolute pleasure chatting with you for the last little bit here. And as always, good luck on the rest of your season.
I
Looking
appreciate it.
forward to cheering you on. I know you're not a driver of ours, but I do cheer you on because you've been a big supporter. We've talked before, and you're one of those guys. I can't. It's not that you scare me when you're with your height, but I feel like I gotta cheer you on. So, uh, good luck the rest of your season, and thank you again for joining us this week on the podcast.
No problem. Thanks a lot.
And we're back from our conversation with Colin Everingham, and we're gonna make this real short and real quick because I think I'm over my hour and a half time slot. So let's get into this. Thank you everyone for listening to the True North Racing Podcast this week, presented by Driving with Hailey. Thank you to all our sponsors, Pets Pro Painting, GraphInk Design Studio, and Taylor Team Media Design for everything they do for the show. Make sure you guys follow us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and as well at joemedia.ca to keep up to date on everything that's going on. Make sure you guys see us next Saturday at Flamborough Speedway. I'm there with JTM Racing with the Canadian Vintage Modifieds. But we'll not be recording next weekend as it is a long weekend, but we'll be back September 8th. But until then, I'll see y'all later. Bye now.
Smell the gas and feel the vibe, going into overdrive. Drop the flag, then the car zooming by. Hey, True North Racing, let's go.